Okay, we're ready to start, guys. Akifa, can I get the green light from you?
Yep, you can go.
Awesome. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for coming to the first episode of African Techpreneur. And I appreciate you taking the time out. I promise we're not going to take very long. We'll extend the program for about 25 to 30 minutes, and then I'll give a few minutes for question and answers. And I welcome your questions. In fact, there's no actual time for questions. If you have a question, please put it into the chat, and then I'll answer those questions in the chat. Now, before I actually start with today's topic, I want to give you some background as to why we are doing this, why I'm doing this, and what I hope to achieve from all of this. So first and foremost, what is my vision? My vision is to establish South Africa, and by extension Southern Africa and the whole of Africa, as a player in the tech industry, as a very important player in the tech industry. Now, if you look at the industrial revolutions that took place, first, second, third, and now they say we're in the fourth industrial revolution, we've essentially missed out on these industrial revolutions because we haven't empowered our youth to take advantage of it. And as the waves came and went, came and went, came and went, we found that there are so many opportunities being seized up around the world. There are so many opportunities being seized up around the world, which we are essentially sorry, there was a bit of a noise in the background. So we got countries like again India, Singapore, Northern European countries, and even most recently Bangladesh, which have really taken advantage of the global IT sector. So I think it's time that we took our rightful place in the world as far as the global IT sector goes, because there are massive opportunities, but I'll get into that shortly. The question is now, for whom is this African Techpreneur, or who is this podcast or this webinar relevant to? It's relevant to anyone that's in any kind of business that realizes that technology is a big part of what you do. I mean, think about it, right? No matter what career you are in today, it's impossible, not difficult, it's impossible to do your work without technology being involved at some level or the other. I'll give you an example. Agriculture. Now, agriculture never had much to do with information technology, with computers and gadgets and devices and artificial intelligence. But today you're finding that agriculture is one of the biggest uses of technology, of computer technology and AI. I mean, farmers are planting little electrodes into their soil that give them live updates on what's going on with the soil. They are monitoring their plants. I know farmers in the Midlands of KwaZulu-Natal who are monitoring their cattle using technology, using artificial intelligence. So it's phenomenal what technology is capable of. So no matter what your profession or what your status in life is right now, if you are an aspiring startup entrepreneur, this is for you. If you are an established business who wants to know how your business can remain relevant, how it can compete in today's world, this is for you. If you are a student, this is for you. Now, initially, the idea was to make this webinar series available only to IT varsity students as an exclusive value add to them. But subsequently, we decided to open it up to everybody and make it available to just about anyone, because we're trying to create an ecosystem here. We don't want to just restrict it to just a few students. We want to make it open to everyone, because if everyone plays a role, everyone benefits. So if we can transform the economy of the entire country, then everybody benefits from that. So that's my vision. and also who this is for. The next thing I I want to address is what do I achieve? What do I want to achieve out of this? Now, I have a very big vision, and my vision is, in many ways, it's audacious, it's huge, and my vision is not just to train a few people, but to transform an entire industry in an entire country, and in the long term affect the economy of the entire country. Now, I want to point out something to you, and this is very important. You find that in most countries that are on a very rapid rise right now, if you look at the tiger countries in the east, you look at the northern European countries, you look at India, you look at even one or two African countries like Kenya.
I
The
can't hear anything.
Sorry.
Some are saying they can't hear you. I can hear you fine.
Okay, then that's fine, because it might be, if you can't hear me, guys, just check your own volume, because
Or switch off your video.
we are monitoring also, and we've got a proper sound. So when you look at these countries, right, let's take India as an example. I actually went to India a few years ago to see what was the reason behind their phenomenal success. I mean, India became at one stage the IT outsourcing capital of the world. And then we had people from India going to countries like the United States, working in the big companies there. You name it, Microsoft, Apple, Google, they were working in these companies, and they were coming back to India. And some of them remained and got top positions there. I mean, look at Satya Nadella. He's from India. He's the CEO of Microsoft. Or Sundar Pichai, who is the CEO of Google. These are both native Indians that left India to go and work for these companies, and they found success in their work, and they became top-notch executives of their companies. Others went the other route. What they did was they left their companies in India and they in United States, and they went back to India and started up their own businesses. And these are now thriving businesses. If you go to Bangalore, you go to Hyderabad, these are some of the biggest IT hubs in the world. And the startup ecosystem there is phenomenal. It's phenomenal to see the buzz there, to see what's going on, and the different types of startups that are opening up there, and really making an impact in the world. Now, these people, when I looked at what was the origin of it, what was the actual start of it, what was the seed? Because at one stage, India was a very poor country. We're looking at about 4 decades ago. India was a very poor country and a very backward country. How did they become what they are? And how did they become the world's IT outsourcing capital? It's very simple. They started with their youth. They started with the young people. So 3 or 4 decades ago, the government made a firm decision that from now we're going to start training our youth to take advantage of technology, not knowing at that time what a huge impact technology is going to make in the future. I mean, when you look at the 1980s or even the late 1990s, there was no such thing as the internet. Or the early 1990s, there was no such thing as the internet and mobile devices and everything that you see. And there was no way to know the impact that information technology is going to make in the world that we see today. Today it's crazy, it's madness what impact technology has made in our lives. But they saw the potential of it, and they took advantage of this by focusing on the youth in 3 ways. The first way is they trained them obviously with technical skills, which is the basis, it's the foundation of everything. Technical skills, in other words, they went out and developed some of the world's best software developers, as an example. On top of that, they gave them soft skills, leadership, management, project management, self-management, all of these skills that add on to software development skills. And then on top of that, here's the best part. On top of that, they trained them with entrepreneurship skills. which is more an attitude than a skill, if you think about it. Entrepreneurship is partly skill, it's partly attitude. It's the mindset you come with. I mean, you can have the best skills in the world. You can be the world's best software developer. And for example, if you are the type of person that quits when you encounter difficulties, when there are challenges, when there is opposition, when you get kicked in the head, when you get toppled over, if you're the type of person that quits, then you're not going to succeed in life. Let's put it that way. You are going to keep moving from one failure to another because if you are a quitter. So they gave them that entrepreneurial spirit, that drive, so that when they went into companies, they didn't go as employees, they went as intrapreneurs. There's the word entrepreneur, and then there's the word intrapreneur. An intrapreneur is a person that doesn't start his or her own business. An entrepreneur is a person that goes and works for another company but brings the entrepreneurial spirit in their work. They treat the company that they're working for as their own company. And these people did phenomenal things. Again, you look at Sundar Pichai, you look at even Gmail, right? Gmail and YouTube were not founded or were not started by the founders of Google. They were founded by other people that came into the company. They came up with this idea. They went to the management. They went to the executive. They say, "Well, I got this idea here. Let's roll with it." And Google funded them, and they moved. So they brought an entrepreneurial spirit. So it wasn't just the tech skills or the soft skills. It was also the mindset. The mindset is probably the most important part of it. Lots of company CEOs and executives. In fact, last year in one of our webinars, we had the CEO of one of the fastest growing tech companies in the country, and she said, "I never hire for skills. I hire for attitude, because attitude is what the person is. Skills is what a person can get." So that's very, very important. You can see the importance of that. So having seen what India had achieved, and having gone and looked at what was the basis of it, how did they start it off, I came back to South Africa, back home, and I decided that we need to start an institute like that, like the type of institutes that they have in India. We need to start an institute, and that's where I started IT Varsity, and we came up with the entrepreneur course. But I'm not here to do any marketing. I'm just saying this from a historical perspective. So when I founded IT Varsity, the next question was, in my experience as a software developer for over 25 years, what are the skills that I would need? And again, it came back to the same thing: tech skills, up-to-date tech skills. What is going on in the world right now? What is new and fresh? What do companies want? What are the big names looking for? Facebook, Google, Twitter, the big name companies. Because when they are adopting a technology, then they are like the trendsetters, and everything from there comes downstream. So if you want to know what's going to happen in the next few years in technology, look at those guys, because they are setting the trends and everybody else follows. The next thing is the soft skills, the entrepreneurial skills, which we brought in, things like digital marketing, project management, etc. And of course, that left the last bit, which is that whole attitude, the attitude, because there's no course that can really shift a person's attitude, in my opinion. Perhaps I'm wrong. What we need is mentorship. What we need is guidance, because when you are a person that is just starting out, obviously you are inexperienced. Obviously, life is uncertain. What's going to be the next step? There's a lot of uncertainty, and it's always great to have somebody who's mentoring you, somebody who you can ask a question to, who may not always know the answers, but acts as a sounding board for you, that you can go and bounce your ideas off and get that. So that's where we established the mentor program at IT Varsity. So we have the student success mentors. So now we've got this package. But Now I noticed something else. I noticed that a lot of people, a lot of youth are asking me questions, both IT varsity students and people out there, youth out there. I go and I speak at events. In fact, I think in March, I'm speaking at least 3 or 4 different events. I always take advantage of opportunities to speak to young people. And I noticed that questions are coming up over and over again, the same questions. So I decided, why answer individually? Let's start uh, this webinar series, African Techpreneur, where I'll answer your questions, and I'll do better. I'll even invite you, if you are a young person that has questions that needs guidance, you're welcome to come on the program. We can have a conversation and invite others to listen in. So the advice I'm giving the one person will carry forward to others. And I'll give you an example, right? And I'm coming to that part, but I want to jump to this example here. About 2 years ago, I was approached by a family that was in serious problems. What happened was the breadwinner of the family, he's about 62, 63 years old, and he got retrenched from his job, and they needed some advice on what's the way forward. And I said to them, well, why don't you start a home industry? So they say, well, what kind of home industry? So and we asked them questions and things, and it turns out that the wife makes very delicious pizzas. So I said, there's your solution right there. Don't try to be someone else. Focus on what you do best, which is to make pizzas. So then the question they had was, but I mean, how are we going to compare or compete with Debonairs and Romans and all of these guys out there? I says, don't worry about that. My late dad used to always, give me a second, guys. Call Zex. Sorry, I just needed to call my tech support guy. So the Akifa, is everything still good? Audio and video, is it still good?
Yeah, you're breaking up there for a bit, but I can still hear you. Video's
Okay.
good.
All
Audio's
right.
good.
Good. So continuing the story about this family, so they had that question. In fact, this question is so common, it's unbelievable. How am I supposed to compete with the big guys? So the answer I gave them was that, apologies, it did that clicky thing. It came back. Okay. So the answer I gave them was this. The advice that my late dad used to give us, that there's always place for one more. Do your best, focus on your strengths, and you will find success, because there's always place for one more. So then they started, and I said, guys, there's something you need to remember. Integrate technology into your business. So the next question was how? I says, well, here's an idea. When you make your pizzas, take photos of them, put them on Instagram, put them on WhatsApp, and put those out. And so they started in a small way, and they started rolling with it. It was an entirely home industry. It still is. They haven't moved out of their home. They still make their pizzas in their own kitchen. And people order via WhatsApp, and they basically deliver to their customers. 2 years down the line, they came back to me and they says, we got another problem. I says, what? They says, we can't cope. We are so busy, we can't cope. I said, well, that's a good problem to have, isn't it? So now I think they're expanding their workforce, and they're doing more. And now they're doing deliveries to other towns also, which is phenomenal. So, it's the fact that they had the skills, they had the basic skills, and they matched it to Akifa, can you please mute everybody? People, do us a favor and keep your microphones muted. So, anyways, they succeeded in a big way with their business. They're doing well for themselves, and the best part is they've been working from home before the whole COVID thing. So the COVID thing didn't interrupt them in any way. They just continued with their business, because all the work is done online. So that entrepreneurial spirit is very important. and you need a mentor to help you with that. And that's why I started this webinar, African Techpreneur, to give you mentorship and guidance. But also, there's another thing. One of the best ways to motivate yourself is to see what others have done and to compare yourself to them, but in a positive way, not the comparison in terms of how much money they're making, etc. Not that type, but in a sense of, if they could do it, then I can do it. And I think that's going to be very effective. And so what I decided, that as part of the African Techpreneur webinar series, I'm going to bring on people that have succeeded in their careers, whether they are business people, startup entrepreneurs, web designers, software developers, those that went through the mill and have succeeded and are now doing well for themselves. People, I'm appealing to you once again, please put your stuff on, your mics on mute. Please put your mics on mute. You're causing an interruption here. So this, by looking at what these people are achieving, and by listening to their stories, and listening to the challenges they went through, trust me, that is the most motivational thing you can ever hear. And aside from that, aside from bringing on startup entrepreneurs, I also want to bring on experienced entrepreneurs, those that have been in the game for decades, who are looking to keep their businesses relevant. Because remember, technology is changing everything in a big way, right? And so it doesn't mean that somebody is an established business, or is running an established business, that they are going to remain established. Don't ever make that mistake of thinking that. Whether you are an established business or you are a startup, remember that things can change so quickly and so dramatically, you will not see it coming. Think BlackBerry, think Nokia. I mean, if you're young enough, you won't even know what those are. But those were the giants of the cell phone industry. Where are they today? Completely disappeared off the face of the earth. Why? Because a new generation of phones came in. They made their entire own industry. They took over the industry, and now they're rolling with it. So that's the way of the world. New names come, new opportunities are created by sharp entrepreneurs who see the opportunities and seize those opportunities and offer something different, not by people who are worried about how am I going to compete with the big guys. I mean, another company that I really admire is Tesla, right? Tesla, now it's good to look back and say, wow, Elon Musk has done such wonderful things. He's opened up this car company, but look at the competition that he went against. He went against companies that have 110-year-old legacies. I mean, Daimler-Benz, the company that made Mercedes-Benz, were the people that invented cars. I mean, Carl Benz and Gottlieb Daimler were the people that invented cars. And Elon Musk decides that he's going to come up with a car company and go against them. But he's succeeding in such a big way that everyone is now playing catch up to him. You can do the same. So regardless of who is out there, regardless of all the big names out there, put your mind to it, put your heart and your soul into it, and you will get there. Everybody brings something new. Remember, technology has leveled the playing field, and there is an opportunity now to take advantage of that. That person that's running the established business, trust me, he doesn't know more about technology than you. You probably know more. He doesn't know as much about the market as you do. You probably know more about what people these days, what the new generation actually want, so you can bring something new. So that's my vision for the African Techpreneur webinar series, mostly to encourage you to become entrepreneurs. Which brings me to my final point. Why am I driving home this whole idea of entrepreneurship? The reason I'm driving entrepreneurship home always is that I see the future for you and for almost everybody in entrepreneurship. Here's why. You see, when you look at the news reports globally, which is something I follow very closely, you'll notice that the formal employment sector is on a decline, meaning companies are hiring less and less and less people because they are streamlining more and more and more. Computers are becoming more capable and are able to do more jobs that humans could do before. I mean, for example, not long ago, Google showed off their new voice assistant, which speaks, it's a computer, but it speaks so naturally that you won't even know that it's a machine you're speaking to. You'll think it's a human being you're speaking to. Now, take that as an example. If you own a call center and I came up to you and I says, well, see, you've got 50 people working for you. Your wage bill is 6 or 7 million rands every year. I can make you profitable by replacing all 50 people with one computer. It will take all the calls, it will answer all the calls, it'll speak to your customers in a perfectly natural human voice, and they won't even know they're speaking to a human. They'll think they're speaking to a computer. They'll think they're speaking to a human being. If I did that, I'll save you 6 or 7 million rands a year. Will you go for it or not? The answer is simple. You will go for it because it's just good business. Now, that's what I mean that businesses are streamlining and the formal employment sector is on a decline, which is not bad news. It's not something we should be afraid of. It's something because there's a flip side to it. And the flip side is that the world has become your playground now. Now the entire world is accessible to you to start your own business and to put yourself out there. And that's why I say entrepreneurship is on a rise. The barriers to entry to becoming an entrepreneur are almost completely gone. Here's an example. 20 years ago, if you wanted to start a business, you would firstly need to find a premises. You would need to go and negotiate a lease. You would need stocks. You would need fixtures and fittings. You'd need staff, etc. Today, do you need all that? You only need this. You can start a business with just your mobile phone. You've got WhatsApp, you've got Instagram, you've got Facebook. Go figure. You can start your retail business right now. I've got a friend in Polokwane who drives an M3, and she does this by selling shoes on Facebook. She keeps no stocks at all. She goes to the wholesalers, she takes photos of the shoes, she puts it on Facebook, and people come there. They choose the shoes, they choose their size, their color, etc. They make payment. She runs off to the wholesale and she drop ships, meaning she takes the customer's own money, she goes to the shop, she buys the shoe, she ships it to them from there. So I spoke to you about a pizza business, a shoe business. I can go on and on and on, but I'm not going to do that. In the next few episodes, I'm going to bring these people themselves and I'm going to have them speak to you and share their experiences with you and how they brought it from A to where they are right now, from start to where they are right now, and all the challenges they face. So that's why I always emphasize to young people, think like entrepreneurs. Get out of the employee mindset into the employer mindset. You could go and work for a company and earn a salary and look after your family, or you could become an entrepreneur and uplift your entire community. I mean, an entrepreneur hires other people. So, for example, I mean, you could go and work for a company and earn a fixed salary every month, 8 or 9,000 rand, or you could start your own company and hire 4 or 5 people from your community and empower them, uplift them. You see what I mean? Small businesses are what is driving our economy, and you need to start small businesses. So African Techpreneur, as the name suggests, is all about that. And then there's one last thing that I'm going to be exploring in this series, and that is, in case you ever wondered what kind of opportunities are available in Africa. Well, let me tell you this. I had a talk not long ago by one of the big Silicon Valley investors, and he said something very interesting. He said, Silicon Valley, America is old news. The future is Africa. And everybody is clamoring for Africa because there's a young population. There's a population that's coming out of poverty and going into middle class and are doing well for themselves. And there's a huge market opening up. But most importantly, Africa has problems, lots and lots of problems. And an entrepreneur sees opportunity where there are problems. And if you are one of those entrepreneurs that are going to see the opportunities in Africa's problems and find a way to monetize on that, then you could likely be the next Mark Zuckerberg or the next Bill Gates. Africa is ripe. And that's why I named this webinar series African Techpreneur. Guys, there are opportunities to become entrepreneurs, especially with technology. Technology has leveled the playing field. It's brought you on par with the big giants of the world, of the giant companies of the world. Take advantage of that. With that, I will conclude, and I will hand off to you now if you have any questions. Akifa, can I ask you to check the questions in the chat and read out questions to me so I can answer them? We'll spend the next few minutes answering questions, and we'll try and wrap up by 11:45.
Okay, at the moment, there's no questions. So if there is any questions, let's allow about 3 more minutes for anyone who wants to pose the questions now.
Guys, you can put your questions in the chat if you are not comfortable speaking them out.
I have a question.
Sure, go for it, sir. What's your name?
Yanga.
Yanga, my man, from Cape Town. Go for it.
Yes, sir. Okay, my question is, since we only doing this leadership for a period of 1 year. So if let's say, for example, from my side, I still want to advance myself in this field, because I would say I still don't have like full knowledge about this field. So now I still want to advance myself even after the termination of contract is finished. So how do I advance myself in this field? Like, how do I find opportunities in this field? Like, who can I contact, or how do I advance myself in this field?
Fantastic. So thanks for the question, Yanga. I appreciate it. Excellent question. For those that are not part of the IT Varsity Learnership, just some background into what Yanga is talking about. Yanga is among a group of students that are on a learnership program with IT Varsity, and it's a 1-year learnership, and it's also a quality work experience. It's actually a quality work experience program, not technically a learnership, and they are learning the entrepreneur course. They're getting the entrepreneur qualification, and they're getting work experience within IT Varsity and its sister companies. Now, Yanga, let me tell it to you like this, right? 1 year to some people seems like a very long time, and to others it's a very short time, right? You can establish yourself in a matter of months, or you can take 10 years and get nowhere with it. So trust me when I tell you, there's enough time, but it all has to do with the amount of effort that you're going to put in and how you value your time and the amount of work you put in towards what you want to do. Now, with technology, the challenge is that it's such a vast field. It opens so many doors. you don't know which door to pick, right? It's like what Steve Jobs used to say: the difficulty for us is not what to do, but what not to do. So what I would recommend is, through your mentors, through these African Techpreneur programs, through your interactions with us, try and establish as quickly as possible. Give yourself a few days to decide exactly which space you want to get into in technology. I mean, you could think of something like, okay, I want to become a professional web designer, or I want to not design websites for other people. I want to design a website for myself where I do e-commerce and I'm selling goods. Or I want to go and become a full stack software developer and go and work for a company. There's so many different things. Or become a consultant. The potential is unlimited, but you have to pick. You have to pick and pursue that, and value your time. I promise you, every single minute is important. You wake up early, you put in the effort, you work hard, you'll see the results. Trust me, within 2 or 3 months, you'll see the results. The other thing is, and obviously we're going to unpack all of these as we go. The other thing is, once you start, keep putting yourself out there, and you'll find people are noticing you, and you get to do the work. And obviously, being part of the IT Varsity family, we are here to support you, but we can't give you direction. Once you've chosen your direction, we can help you. We've got a group of mentors. I don't know if you've seen it on the IT Varsity website. We've got mentors in so many different fields. We can hook you up with a mentor who's somewhat related to the field you want to get into. So in a nutshell, pick your path, put in the hard work and effort, keep putting yourself out, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask questions, nag people. They might not answer, but you will get there.
Awesome. We've got some more questions in the chat. One of the viewers are asking, are you only based in Durban? Perhaps you can just explain how IT Varsity is set up and what our offering basically entails.
Okay, we are actually based in the cloud. IT Varsity has its head office in Durban, which is not much of a head office. And we operate globally. We've got students all over the world. Our course is, our flagship course is Entrepreneur. It's fully online. In fact, our workforce is fully online. I mean, there's people that are working with us that I've never personally met, but we meet digitally every single day, and we work very, very closely. So if you want to become, again, I didn't mean this to become a marketing for IT Varsity, but if you want to sign up, you can go to our website and sign up for Module 0 there.
Cool. Then we have another question asking how many series or how many episodes are in the series of African Techpreneur?
Okay, this is the first one, and there's going to be one every week. So congratulations, you in the pilot episode.
Okay, then there's a question about, well, a lot of people have business ideas, but the issue is financing. Any advice on how to reach out and win investors over? That's an interesting question.
Oh, I promised to finish off at 11:45. Look, let's leave that for another episode. But in a nutshell, sometimes we think we need financing, but we don't really need financing. Really think about that, what I'm saying. Sometimes we think we need financing when we don't really, really need it. I mean, there's a lot of businesses that started off where the founder self-funded and grew a business without investor funding. Example, IT Varsity. We've got no funding. We don't have any outside funders. We just grew as we went along. And I'll give you one example and I'll conclude. So there's a guy called Dan Locke who gives lots of business advice on YouTube. And he says, if you want me to finance your business, show me that you have a business and that you know how to sell. If you don't have anything and you don't know how to sell and you haven't sold your first few products, what assurances do I have that if I fund you, I'm going to make I'm going to get returns on investment? In fact, a lot of my personal mentors gave me the exact same advice, that don't involve investors early on, bring them later on. Work with what they call sweat equity. Work hard to bring up your business on your own without external funding. And I mean, if you want to get your parents or your favorite uncle to help you, that's a different thing. I'm talking about, getting external funders. I made that mistake in the past, and it was an absolute disaster, because what happened was we realized that along the way that they had different values and I had different values. For them, it was all about money, money, money. And for me, it was all about creating a legacy, about helping people. And so it was disaster. Best advice: forget financing, forget getting funding. Start your own business on your own. If you got your parents' basement or garage or your bedroom, get started. I mean, look at PewDiePie, right? The YouTuber. He's worth like $16 million. He started in his bedroom. He literally started in his bedroom. So forget financing to start off with. Get the right attitude, you'll get there.
Cool. I think the question from Palesa basically follows up to what you just answered. So I'm going to skip Palesa for now. Tobilia is asking, what organization can we get in touch with to take advantage of the opportunities that are available in the tech space?
Fantastic. Let's leave that for another episode. But in a nutshell, you can get in touch with NIDA, National Youth Development Agency, and Harambe. Harambe is actually, in fact, I spoke to them yesterday. I'm involved in this project where they're starting a platform. What is this? A platform where youth can go and upload their profiles and get matched to opportunities, which is really, really cool. The other thing you can do is get in touch with Geek Culture. Geek Culture is an organization that focuses on empowering young people to get their own businesses started. In fact, the CEO is a personal friend of mine, and he's also agreed to be one of our guests in a future episode of African Techpreneur. So I think for starters, speak to these three. You'll get good advice from them, and you'll also get access to opportunities. And over and above that, look at various YouTube channels. I mean, I can't emphasize how important it is to go on YouTube and see what others have done, how they've started their businesses and made a success of them. Just go and Google it up. One of my favorites is Gary V. Look at his channel. Neil Patel is another guy. Look at his channel, and you'll get lots of ideas there.
Okay, and maybe we can take the last question. There's a couple more if you want to go through, but Noltanda's asking, can you please explain what a software developer does? I know that's a broad question.
It's a broad question. In fact, I'll give you the short answer, which is going to frustrate you. A software developer develops software. Okay. The long answer is all the applications that you use on your phone, on your computer, the ones that run in your car, in your microwave oven, in your bank ATM machine, all of that was created by people writing lines of code. A software developer is that. They'll write lines of code to create applications that we can use. So you name it, every single app on your phone, even the operating system of your phone, everything around us that, the operating system on airplanes, these are all created by people. So software developers are those people. But I think I'm going to do a separate video on what exactly software developers do, the different types of software developers that are out there, and the skills that you need to become a software developer. That's in our pipeline.
Okay. You ready for one last question, or are we running out of time?
And then we'll call it quits.
Okay, so this is from Lucy, my girl, actually. So she's saying being equipped and skilled is easy. And as explained, there's many opportunities and problems that need solutions. But how do you overcome the fear of being out there and starting a business and fear, and obviously the fear of failing. How do you overcome that?
Bad news, Lucy, you will never overcome it. I promise you, every single day, you'll find something new to be afraid of. As much as I've been in business so long, we all have our fears, whether it's fear of starting, or when you start, fear of your business taking a dip, or your business being going bankrupt. You name it, there's always fear. Let me tell you something, Lucy. When you leave your home, there's a fear that something is going to happen to you, that you're going to get knocked, or there's going to be an accident, or a meteorite is going to land on you. There's fears all around. But if you need to go from home to the shop to buy something and come back, do you think about those fears? You don't think about them, because these are things you have to do. In the same way with your career and your business, if you are committed enough, you'll put all those fears aside and you'll just do it. You'll just go for it. And trust me, I've seen this over and over and over again. You take a step in the unknown with all your fears. As long as you put your heart and soul into it, things just open up for you. You'll be like, wow, I never knew what I was doing, but now looking back, I made a good move. And I'm glad I took that move. I can give you tons of examples, but you know what, Akifa said. Time's up.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I think this was awesome. And I think, really, we're looking forward to more of these series coming up. All invitations will be sent out. We welcome you to invite your friends and your family and everyone you feel would obviously gain value from what we are doing. So thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, and invite everybody. Just to give you a trailer for next week. Next week, I'm speaking to one of my first students ever. Her name is Toliswa Shandu, and she's a high-flying software developer right now. And she's going to come and share with you her experiences, and also talk about her fears and her challenges and how she overcame them. So next week, Wednesday, same time, we got a brilliant, brilliant young lady that's going to be talking to us. So I look forward to meeting you next week. Awesome stuff, guys. Once again, thanks for coming. And like Akifa said, invite everybody. Invite your friends and your family and tell them to come and take advantage. And if you got questions along the way, please get in touch with us. Ask your questions. I'll be happy to answer them as we go along. Bye-bye.
Cool. Bye, everyone.